Alright, so we're going to try to do a hive inspection today and record it all so you guys can follow along. Don't have my suit on yet, but I will in just a second. You can see hives right there. Girls are coming in and out with pollen today, but they're not bothering me because they're busy doing their thing. So before I get started, there's a whole bunch of stuff I want to do today. I have this little checklist. These are the main things I need to do. So I'm in week 5 of this hive. So I have a bigger checklist that you would normally do for a hive inspection, but there's specific ones I want to do as week 5 for these new bees, especially about 25 days ago the queen was released. So, and it takes about 21 days for new worker bees to hatch out, so I'm expecting to see some of that today. Since this is a new hive, I'm waiting to see until I get a lot of frames built out in this first deep chamber, and that will tell me when I can put on the second story, I guess you could say, of the hive and make it a little bit bigger. General stuff that I'll look for is I just want to see with the reproduction, see how the eggs are growing, the larva, the pupa, how those all look. Looking for queen cells. I don't think there will be any of those in there, but it's something to look out for just to make sure the queen is doing her job. The other thing is we're going to see, I was looking earlier and you can see the girls are coming in with a ton of pollen, so it's allergy season. Took my first Zyrtec today. I'll look for pests. I'm not expecting to see those, but it's always something to look for, and that will probably segue into the big checklist, which is just one of these things I downloaded from the internet. It goes through kind of all the same stuff I just went over, just general hive stuff, just kind of looking at the hive, see how it's reacting. Are the bees bringing in pollen? So I've already covered that. Are the bees calm? Yeah. Looking for reproduction, just looking at the brood pattern, we'll go over that. Looking for signs of pests. Capacity, like I said before, I'm specifically looking to see how many frames are built out, and that will tell me how my hives are doing. Weather condition, it's beautiful out today. It's like 65 degrees and sunny, so the girls are flying out, which is great to see, so they can start pretty much being able to feed themselves and not have to rely on the syrup that I have in there. So the first thing I will do is light my smoker. So you can see I have this huge thing of tools. The main ones that you're going to need are this smoker. I have some smoker fuel, but I also have a forest full of pine needles, which actually work better than any smoker fuel you can buy. The next, pretty much most critical tool is this Hive Tool, which allows us to pop open these hives because they get stuck together a lot, and also remove frames. So it's the number one tool besides the smoker. Other one is a bee brush, which you use to kind of brush bees away as needed. I don't use it all that much, but it's definitely useful. Some other things, so I have this handy dandy lighter for the smoker, which is really good. Other stuff in there is pretty much just on an as-need basis, like a utility knife. Like I might trim these boxes a little bit. Some more fuel for my lighter, just general pliers. A pen is always handy for making notes. The only thing I don't have in here is like stuff like Benadryl is recommended. EpiPen if you definitely have reactions to bees, which I do not. Frame holder, which I probably can just throw on now. Advance. And that's pretty much it. Those are the main tools that I will need for today. So let's start the smoker. And then I promise I put my suit on. You don't have to worry about that. It's been raining, so I'm going to see if there's some dry pine needles, but I might not have luck, and I might have to use fuel. So let's see. Alright, you can see I just have some old dried up leaves and pine needles. Light these up pretty good. sometimes one of the most tricky part of inspecting is getting this thing to light and stay lit. Because you want it to be there if you do need it. I haven't yet run into that as a beekeeper, but I'm sure it'll happen. You can see there's not a ton of smoke coming out of there just yet. And it doesn't need to be a blazing inferno, but that's a better smoke right there. And it's a cool smoke. It's not, you're not burning the bees, you're just kind of confusing them and making them think there's a fire nearby, and they want to run and hide and eat up their honey. So I think that's pretty good. We'll just set this down. Again, it's sort of an as-need basis. Also tells us which way the wind is blowing, which is useful for some cases. So, all right, I'm gonna go in the hive now, so I will put my veil on. I don't want to get stung in the face. That wouldn't be fun. So I usually do this in front of a mirror. I can just use the camera. Make sure there's no bees inside of it, obviously. And you see I have my shirt tucked in, so nobody sneaks inside there and gets trapped, because then they probably would want to sting me. Alright. It's got all sorts of zippers so nobody gets inside. For both our sakes. Alright. Can't really see well with the sun, but I can feel. Can't really see, but I think we're pretty well suited up. Alright. Again, let's just check our smoker. I think I'm going to add some more fuel so it stays lit. And put this little list sort of nearby so I remind myself what's happening. Looks like you can see me okay. Alright, so we'll start with this hive. It's good having two hives because you can kind of compare them. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. I'm going to find out after I make this video if we need better audio equipment. Again, this first cover is always tough to get off, but okay. I probably will take out my phone and take other video because I don't want to keep moving that thing. But, yeah. Everything looks quiet in here. Most of a lot of the foragers are out, so there's not a ton of feeding. Take this cover off. I use my top cover as sort of a stand for all of this, and get a better look, hopefully, of the feeding board. Got all these jars of syrup. Got a camera in here. That's obviously not a requirement. I just do that for fun and educational purposes. Alright, back to the main tool we needed was the Hive Tool. Just because this cover gets stuck and I don't want to try it. Yeah, we're doing okay. It's alright. It's just heavy. I might take some of these jars off. Make it a little bit easier on myself. There's going to be bees on there. I want to make sure I don't squish them. That should have lightened it up a little bit so I just don't want to drop anything. There we go. That's off. Set this aside, crisscross, so nothing gets squished again. Alright, so this is where you can see all the bees are hanging out. There's a little bit of syrup that's dripped down. And so we don't need syrup, but we're going to look through these frames. I can see The edges are still not filled out. That's not a surprise. This is the black plastic frame that they started with. So that's an edge one. I'll move this one as well. Similarly the same. This is not a surprise. The outside ones haven't been built out. There's 10 frames in here, for the record. And I think 6 of them were built out the last time I checked. And it looks to be more of the same. So these outside 3, not yet built out. Weather hasn't been all that accommodating, so the girl's been pretty much stuck inside. It should change in the next couple of weeks. Alright, so let's take a look at the first frame. Again, things I'm looking for is I'll try to find the queen here. She's usually pretty easy to spot. But I am looking for just sort of the development since last week, see how things have done. You can see this outside is not yet built out, but the inside definitely is. Hopefully that looks okay from there. Look for the queen real quick. Maybe I'll do a quick close-up. But just telling you what I see in here is I see a whole bunch of syrup stores. There's not a lot of brood or eggs. You can see the capped syrup on the edge. That's essentially their honey storage. There's a little bit of pollen in there, but this is mostly a syrup frame. It's, you know, maybe a pound or 2. And you can see. There you go. There's no queen on here, so this is safe. Alright, so that was frame 4. The next few frames I'm going to want to get the girls down a little bit, so I'm just going to give them a little smoke. They'll disperse down in. Alright, let's check the next frame, which would be substantially heavier by my guess. So to use the sunlight to look at it, we can see this one has brood. It has a bunch of eggs that are capped. It has some eggs in there as well, so she is backfilling and relaying, which is good. My guess is last week the brood that was in these patches hatched out and she's gone ahead and put new eggs in there, which is a good sign. Again, frame 5, same thing on the other side. Let's see if the queen is here. I do see eggs, so she could be nearby. But everything else looks in order. Let's go on to frame 6. This one has a little bit of burr comb on top. A little bit heavier than the last. No queen sighting yet. Nothing else of note. Eggs filled in again, royal jelly, that's good. Alright. Give you a quick close-up of this. And you can see it looks like some emerging bees, so the population should grow soon. Same thing, you see the honey in the top corners and a mixture of eggs developing. Alright, let's put this one back where it was. They're flying a little bit more. So let's calm them down a little bit. Slide these down. This would be frame 7. See some further advanced eggs, more into the larval stage. A lot of capped brood, that's good. Eggs backfilled, so I think that's good as well. I haven't seen the queen just yet. must be nearby since we see fresh eggs. Okay, more of the same, so I'm just going to go ahead and put this one back. I've just spotted the queen on this frame. This is frame 8. Hold on, I'm going to switch that little guy. Spotted her on this side. She may have, oh, there she is on the bottom. She's falling across the bottom. She has a blue dot. I don't want to bring her over there in fear of dropping her. I keep the frame over the hive. In case she does drop, we don't lose her. She doesn't fly away. We don't want that to happen. But she's laying. She's probably looking for spots to lay. This is a great sign. She's still doing what she needs to do. Looks like that. Interesting. They sort of started building out on this frame, which is frame 8, so that's good. It would be the third one in from the outside. This was likely not touched last week, so that's good progress. And frame 9. Let's see, this bee's just hanging out on me. Nope, she doesn't even want to sting me. Typically don't. Alright, so I think this is a good sign that I'm starting to see some activity on these outer frames. Not so much on this side, but that side, probably because of the sunlight. But not a ton, but it's a start. Alright. Anything else to know? I think that's pretty much it. Again, this one's going to be empty, just like the other side was. And there's a few bees, but I think this is all good signs. Everything looks good. We see pollen in there, so no signs of pests. Again, I don't really expect to see any just yet. Maybe more as spring comes. Again, I'm new at this, so I'm learning as I go too. Just gonna put all these back. Just gonna try to grab a drone for you, but we'll just go ahead and do that. Again, try not to squish anybody. They always want to get in there. And I find as you do squish them, they get pretty mad. One guy in there that just does not want to budge. When I say guy, I really mean girls. This is all girls in here. A few guys, mostly girls. Alright, just going to put this back. We're effectively done here. Let them be on their way. I'm going to take this extra bird comb off of there so they don't make too much of a mess. Making sure that it's all evenly spaced on both sides. And I'm going to get that stuff off the top. Which means I need to get these bees out of the way. They build this in that little spot that is in between the hive and essentially the feeding chamber, if you want to call it that. It's just wax. You can actually keep this and use this wax to build, to make things out of later on. Especially when you extract the honey, there's a whole bunch of wax. You can make candles and whatnot. So just shake them off. Just throw it in my toolbox for now. And we're done. Hive looks good. I didn't bother going through the checklist, but I'll just go from memory and just kind of check all these things off, but everything looks good, so they get an A plus. Alright, just one more smoke to just kind of get them off these edges so I don't squish anybody. They're all used to coming in right here, so it's a pretty popular spot. See, the coast is clear. Back on. Syrup back in. These jars nice and close. Top cover for this medium, which is their feeding chamber. For now. I think we have maybe a few more weeks of having to feed them. And last but not least, put this cover back on. Again, don't squish anybody. That's it. I will repeat that for the second hive. Okay, well, this is going to be more of the same, but I might as well just record it in case something is different with this hive. I'll try to speak louder so that you can hear me. The camera's a little bit closer too, so let's see how this works. So just like before, got my smoker. This time I'll just sort of demonstrate another way. Shade kind of rolled in, so the girls aren't flying as actively, but still. So a little puff there, a little puff there. Just gets them to sort of congregate inside. Same thing here, I can do a puff before I completely open it, but again, they're so calm right now. It's abundance of precaution, I would say. So same as last time, put this cover down. Nice flat spot. Pop the top chamber off. Let's see if this one's as stuck as the last one. Nope. Just pull it off without a tool. Again, crisscross so we don't squish anybody. And let's see if I can get this one off without a tool. Yep. And just slide this off. I'm going to try this one without taking the jars off and save myself some time. Go ahead and smoke these, but just looking at it from the top down before I even pull any frames out, I can see, you know, again, outside frames, no activity yet. Really hope to see that change in the next couple of weeks. It is May 2nd, and these girls came in April 4th to me, so you know, again, we're about into week 5, and this is the time where we need to sort of build them up and get them ready for winter. It's kind of funny to think about it, but that's pretty much what we're doing here. Oh, super cool. I hope I can catch this on camera, but there is a girl doing a waggle dance, and I'm going to pull this camera off. There's a couple of them. Where is she? And she does this thing called a waggle dance. There she is right there. She's got the pollen on her. What she's doing right now is she's telling other girls in her hive where she found that pollen, and maybe I can sort of link to something to show you, but what she's doing is she's sort of wiggling in a certain pattern with, and it has some things where the intensity that she waggles, the distance that she waggles, and So the distance, the direction according to the sun, and the intensity tells other foragers in the hive where there's a pollen source, essentially how far away it is and how much of it is, or how much pollen there is in that vicinity. So it's really fun to see. Yeah, she's doing it. There's a couple other ones waggling, but I'm not necessarily sure if that's something else. But yeah, hopefully that came up on camera, because that's really cool to see. That's the first time for me. So, all right, need my frame holder. And I'll work from this side. Actually, no, I will work from this side and not trip over all the stuff that I put down already. Everyone keeps asking me why I don't use gloves. I mean, it's just using your fingers here is just so much easier. And I mean, the population isn't huge, and everybody's calm. So if that changes, then I'll change my behaviors. But just like last time, I'll go through this one a little bit faster. First two frames, there's just a couple of stragglers on there. See, yeah, on my hand just fine. Frame 3 actually, that's pretty good. Good sign here. There's a ton of nectar on this one. Most of it's capped, so it looks like they're keeping their honey on this outside one. Some of it was stuck together with the last one. Nothing of note here, no eggs, so I wouldn't expect the queen to be here. We'll just leave that one inside the hive. We got enough room to work. Let me just give them a smoke so they kind of, not that I'm worried about them, but yeah, I mean, it's not surprising that they're doing that waggle dance, given that this is sort of their first time in a long time to go foraging for nectar and pollen, and things are starting to bloom. Alright, so we're on frame 4. Ooh, this one's heavy. Even though it's only populated on the top half on this side. Again, just more nectar, no eggs, a little bit of pollen. Wouldn't expect the queen on this side. This side, that's different. So 1, 2, 3, like I said, frame 4 is the first one that has eggs and capped larvae, capped brood on here. Mostly eggs, which means the queen has been here in the last 3 days. I guess I'll give you guys another close-up look. I don't know if you can see that. Frame 5, which is where things really start to boost. And yeah, I think what we have, same as last time, we have bees that have emerged, and best I can tell, I see little eggs backfilled in there, so that's great. That would be sort of a second wave of bees since this hive, this colony I should say, started. Just looking on the other side for anything interesting to call out. No queen here. More of the same, some eggs, some brood, honey in the corners. No waggle dancers here. Alright, frame 6. Quick check for the queen before I go look on one side. Yep, more of the same. One of the things that I said I'd look for is there's one interesting difference. I can see a brood, not a brood, a drone cell The drone is the male version, which is larger. So once I look through this, I'll show you that cell, which is a good sign, because right now, actually, there's one on this side as well. Because right now, unmated queens out in the if colonies are splitting at this time of year, which many are, new queens have to be reared. There needs to be males out there for them to breed with, and so it's not all that unsurprising to find some drone brood. And what that looks like is, if I can show you, you can see sort of towards the bottom center of this frame, there's one that sort of sticks out farther than the rest, and that's because those guys are noticeably larger than worker bees. If I can find one after, I'll pick them up, because drones do not have stingers. So, okay. So that's frame 6, I said. Yep. Still no queen yet, so we'll keep looking. Slide these over, make some room. Frame 7. There's our waggler. She's still waggling. There's the queen. I'm feeling brave. I'll bring her close. Queen's on this side, so I won't spend too much time near the camera. I'll keep it over. Yeah. But yeah, that girl that was waggling before. Let's see. Queen's there. I'm just going to keep an eye on her. See if we get the Waggle Dancer. There she is with her pollen on her. She's on the right side of the frame. She's kind of stopped doing it, so she's camera shy. I do see a drone on there. You can see the big guy, maybe right center of the video. That's a drone. Double check. Queen's still there. Alright. I'm spending a little bit of time, so I'm just going to go ahead and give them a little puff to give them a little soothing essence, I guess you could say. So that was frame 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Frame 8. Be the third one in from this side. It's going to be, it looks like to be just like the last one. We have, we have activity on this side, mostly just nectar, pollen, and then on this side, empty. Nothing built out just yet. And with that, we're going to see the last two the same. Let's see. There's a drone on this one as well. But I don't think I can get him. I've lost sight. Alright. I think that's going to do it. Just double checking. Last two frames, really no activity, so I'm going to slide these back together.